To welcome Ram Ambatipudi, co-founder and senior vice president of energy and utilities at EV Connect. Ram, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Very happy to be here today to speak with this audience. The last presentation was a great segue to the topic of EV charging. So my name is Ram Ambatipudi. I'm a co-founder and senior vice president of energy and utilities at EV Connect. EV Connect is a Southern California-based charging solutions company. Our mission is to enable electricity as a transportation fuel. And we have over 12 years of business and experience in the industry. We have over 8,000 charging connectors under management all across the United States. We have assisted drivers, over 100,000 drivers to successfully charge at charging stations. So we have the experience in working with a lot of multifamily properties to install, deploy, and manage EV charging solutions. As validation for some of our work to date in the industry, we were named as one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential companies in America for 2022. So we're extremely gratified to get that recognition, and we hope to really be able to work with the folks in this room to plot the journey for you as you think about how to support your tenants, your residents, your customers with EV charging going forward. So just a show of hands to set the table, how many of you currently own an electric vehicle? Keep those hands up. How many of you plan to either buy or lease an electric vehicle in the next 3 years? So by my rough estimation, that's about 80% of the room. So fact number one, the EV revolution is here. There are over 2.5 million electric vehicles on the road today. By 2030, there will be over 30 million drivers of electric vehicles in America. Every single car manufacturer is rolling out models to serve every segment of the car buying population, from lower price sedans to SUVs to trucks. So the choices for consumers are going to be enormous to fit their needs. What that means is your tenants are going to be buying EVs, and they're going to be demanding that their apartments and townhomes and condos be equipped to charge electric vehicles at their homes. Fact number two, today, approximately 80% of charging happens at the home. People want to have the comfort to be able to come to their home, whether it's a single-family residence or a multifamily property, and be able to charge so that they have a full battery for whatever they need to do the next day. So once again, the importance of preparing you to offer electric vehicle charging at your properties is becoming not just a luxury, but something that you'll need to do to attract tenants and fulfill that demand. So what are some of the things you need to think about as you embark on this journey? I'm going to go into each of these in more details, but some of the things to think about are what incentive programs are available to help you buy down the cost to deploy EV charging at your sites? What should you think about from an installation partner and site considerations to deploy EV charging? What kind of stations are relevant for you? The previous speaker was mentioning that perhaps level 1 stations are better, perhaps level 2, or perhaps faster charging stations. There's really no one-size-fits-all solution there. In terms of your management of the stations from both a software and an operation and maintenance standpoint, what are some of the considerations around that? And then finally, looking to the future, how should you future-proof your plans so that you're not just thinking about today, but tomorrow with all of the innovation that's happening in this industry? So let's go into more detail on each of those points. The good news today is that there are a plethora of incentive programs available for you to access and leverage to buy down, the cost of deploying EV charging at your properties. You may have recently heard that the federal infrastructure bill has allocated $7.5 billion towards building a nationwide network of EV charging stations. That money is really meant to reduce range anxiety, for potential drivers to get more comfortable to buy EVs. So it's going to really act as a catalyst to spur the growth of more EV purchases and leases by the broader population. What that means to you is as the increase in EV sales occurs, again, people are going to look to have EV chargings wherever they live, including at multifamily properties. In terms of incentive programs available, they're available from electric utilities, from cities, from state agencies, and so it's very important to identify what the programs are, what's covered under the programs, how do you apply for those programs, what do you need to do to kind of navigate successfully to get these funds approved for your project. And one of the key things that you need to look at is making sure that you work with a partner that's an approved vendor under these programs that can provide a lot of the data reporting that the programs need so that you're not burdened with a lot of the hassle. You find a partner that can basically walk you through, identifying these programs and getting you the funding that you need to leverage these programs. Next, choose an installation partner that can help you with your particular property in terms of the site assessment. When looking at your site, some of the key things will be, how much spare capacity do I have in my electrical panel? Will I need upgrades from an electrical infrastructure side in order to support the charging capacity that you want to deploy at your facility? How many chargers do you plan on deploying both in the near term, but also future-proofing your site for the long term? Once you've chosen a partner that can help you sketch out the project, the next step is applying for these incentive programs, going through the design, the engineering, and the permitting process, and then finally the installation, construction, and commissioning of these charging stations. Again, future-proofing considerations are important, but also making sure that you comply with all of the city, county regulations around things like ADA access and choosing stations that meet the safety and reliability that you're looking for. What type of station should you get? There's multiple options And it really depends on the kind of solutions that you're looking to provide to your clients. Some properties will have dedicated parking spots with, pre-assigned parking for residents. You may be better off just having a charge station for each dedicated spot. Other sites will have non-dedicated stations or shared charging for a group of tenants or customers or residents. These may be open to the public, the general public. So the choice of technology really depends on whether it's a dedicated versus a shared type of installation. The capacity of the charging station, whether it's level 1, level 2, or fast charging, is important. As was previously mentioned, level 1 is basically, like a electrical socket, that you have in your home. Extremely slow charging, you may get 3 to 5 miles per hour. But the downside with a level 1 charger or even a non-networked level 2 charger is that you won't be able to set things like access controls or pricing policies or get data on utilization of the charging stations. You won't have any insight into whether it's working or not. In contrast, level 2 is a higher charging speed. You'll get anywhere from 25 miles to 50 miles per hour, when you're plugged into a level 2 charger. So you'll be assured that your residents will have a full charge when they wake up and go about their business in the following day. It also works for shared or non-dedicated charging where multiple folks can use the charger throughout the day. In some instances, you may even want to consider a fast charger, a DC fast charger. These can charge cars in a matter of minutes, half an hour to 45 minutes. It's much more expensive for your site to install a DC fast charger, and in most cases they're more suitable for public charging applications. But if you have a large building with a lot of tenants where there's the demand for faster charging, it may be something for you to consider. And then finally, if you plan on charging for the usage of these electric charging stations, you'll need to be cognizant of regulatory requirements around what these chargers can support. So in California, there's something called CTEP certification. I won't go into the details of that. It just measures how accurate the metering is in the charger so that the amount of energy that's being dispensed is accurately billed. So you want to ensure that any charging station that you put out there meets this CTEP certification. The management software is really the brains. It's of how you manage charging stations. The benefits of having a networked charger that is controlled by a cloud-based management platform is that it enables you to set access rights to the stations. You can set pricing policies for the stations. You can get real-time information on the station utilization, when the stations are being used, how long they're being used. You can start getting intelligence around, if the stations are at a certain level of utilization, maybe it's time I put in more charging stations at the facility. The management platform helps you manage the energy costs. You can set peak demand thresholds so that you don't exceed some of the utility tariffs around demand charges. You can set pricing for the stations so that they comply with time of use rates from utilities. So these are all capabilities that should be factored into your selection of the management software system. Some of the other things to consider are future integrations with your enterprise systems around billing and asset management that could be provided by the correct management system. Once the stations are installed and commissioned, this is really when the value starts, right? These stations are going to be used, hopefully, very often and very regularly by your tenants. What comes with that is making sure that they're running, making sure that they're operational, making sure that if there's any issues that occur with the charging station, you have a partner that will quickly respond to inquiries and fix the problem and get these stations back up and running. The last thing you as property managers want to hear is complaints from angry tenants saying, my charging station's not working. So when deciding to work with partners in this effort, make sure that the partner is able to support 24/7/365 driver support, as well as 24/7 technical support for the site hosts of charging stations. This is extremely important. The other thing to look for is, does the provider have service level agreements that they stand behind around, when they pick up a call, when there's a problem? How fast do they diagnose the issue? How soon can they send out a truck to repair and resolve the issues? This is where you can kind of separate the qualifications from service providers in terms of how rigorous they adhere to these service level agreements. So I think, unfortunately, these stations get a lot of utilization, and there's wear and tear on it, and there's user error. So do not underestimate the need and the importance for proper operation and maintenance. And then finally, the decisions that you make today will be important in terms of also your future planning. The decision to deploy 2 to 4 charging stations at your site today may be relatively easy. You may have spare capacity in your electrical panel. You may have the spaces available at your site. But fast forward to 2 to 3 years, what if you need 50 charging stations at your site? All of a sudden, this becomes potentially the biggest energy user of your building, depending upon the size. And managing energy, managing the infrastructure costs, managing the customer experience, these all become extremely important. Looking into the future, there are going to be opportunities to integrate new technologies such as vehicle to grid or vehicle to building, where you can use the spare capacity in the vehicle's battery to inject energy back into the grid or back into your building. So you'll want to think about how to take advantage of these programs. Several utilities offer things like demand response programs or grid capacity programs where you can actually monetize value by feeding energy back into the grid during critical periods where there are grid constraints. So it's very important to think about the future as this industry grows and as the technology evolves to capitalize and take advantage of these solutions over time.